David O and Tiwa Savage have beef. Now, will David O get dropped from the Grammys because of this dilemma? Let's talk about it. All right, so Tiwa Savage has accused David O, allegedly, from a police report, has accused him of threatening to quote unquote F her up. Let's read these blogs. Let's see what's going on. So, she filed a police report allegedly. Let's read it. And I actually saw the full document reported by other reputable Nigerian blogs. I'm writing to you to bring this. Wait, I'm writing to you. Oh, wait, I need to show you guys this so y'all can see it. So y'all can see what I'm reading. There you go. I am writing to bring to your attention a distressing situation involving myself, Tiwa Tope Omolara Savage, popularly known as Tiwa Savage, and Mr. David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido. On the 23rd of December, I made a post which included myself and Sophia Mahmood on my Instagram story, a feature on Instagram which allows you to put up a post for 24 hours. And Mr. David Adeleke sent messages to my manager, who's also part of his management team, that I shouldn't worry and I should never say a word to him, and that I was taunting him, uttering every disrespectful, malicious, and derogatory word to my person. I responded to Mr. David Adeleke's message and told him to not reach out to me, especially as I feel like I have been there for him and his daughter, Imade, and more importantly, when he lost his son. Okay, we'll address that comment. The events of the day have also led to a barrage of calls and messages from our mutual connections asking me what I did to Mr. David Adeleke, and he's upset that I choose to maintain a relationship with Imade's mother, Sophia Mahmood, who he's having issues with, and also painting an exchange to look like I was the aggressor. He has also told our mutual connections to warn me to be careful in Lagos because he was going to, quote, F me up, end quote. This is beginning to feel like some form of online and offline harassment, not just to me, but also to members of my team. The actions of Mr. David Adeleke are unethical and can be viewed as a direct threat to my rights to life, privacy, and dignity of my person as guaranteed in chapter blah, blah, blah of the Nigerian Constitution, whatever. So, this is really dramatic. This is really interesting. And so we can see screenshots from both sides of their Instagram conversations. Now let's look at this. So I guess, I'm not sure what date she sent this to him. She should let my son rest. Who is this? Oh, this is some sort of like posting of Sophia's son or something. I don't know. Okay, let me just read what Tiwa says to him. I can call you. Then he sends her a message. That's on the Friday. Then she goes. We also have from him. Then she goes. Oh, so I guess both sides. David, please, you don't David, please, you don't speak to me again. Oh, David, please, you don't speak to me again. I have had enough of your evil ways. I was the first person at the hospital when your son passed, and you are, I think this says evil. He said, don't ever mention my son in your life. I'll respect you because of Jamil. You are effing mad. Try it when you see me. God punish you. Please come try it when you see me. I can't wait to see you in person and you must try it. Wow. You are effing messing with the wrong person. Ooh. Okay, and then this is some sort of...
In Dubai, the WhatsApp calls don't work here. I'll be back in Lagos next tomorrow, so I'm great.
Okay, I think that's the short message that they sent. Okay. So let's unpack this. Right? So first of all, it's very obvious that, first of all, it's not obvious, but there is no actual proof that David made any threats to Tiwa Savage, unless maybe she didn't mention if she saw it in her manager's text messages. She said somebody told her, her people, her team told her that Davido said these things about her. So let's just understand that he said, she said is like, especially when it has to do with artists, we hear a lot about people in their team creating division amongst them. So we hear about that. So I don't know that there's really evidence that he said anything, but I'm not trying to blindly take Davido's side because I think there's some interesting things going on here. I think there's in Nigeria, there's this big man complex, and a big man in Nigeria is a man that is accomplished, who is prominent, respected, and they use this sort of like big man complex to abuse power, and obviously Davido is born into a wealthy family, but he's made quite a name for himself. So I think there's a coupling of being born in a wealthy family and then making yourself a global superstar that inflates your ego in a way that you feel as though you are untouchable, you are like a god, and you can mess with anybody. But let's also remember that Tiwa Savage is self-made. Tiwa Savage is a hustler. And there's also a God complex that comes with somebody that's self-made, because everything I wanted to pursue, I achieved it. So Tiwa Savage too may also have this God complex. You're going to do what to me? Oh, let's see about that. And so let's even unpack this idea with Davido, right? And I'm going to address why I believe that he's putting himself in serious risks of being canceled on the global stage. By this, if what Tiwa Savage is saying is accurate and she can prove it, he is putting himself at a major risk, and he needs to be very careful because let's talk about the dynamics in Nigeria with this big man complex, right? A lot of wealthy men in Nigeria, successful men, right? People in the spotlight, they have this mentality that they can abuse power and they can do whatever they want, lawless behavior, and they don't have to be held accountable. Now, the first issue that I see with this, and Davido went viral sometime in 2023 with his ex girlfriend / baby mama, first baby mama, Sophia Mahmood. This is the same person that Tiwa Savage is allegedly hanging out with. Now, she went viral because she wrote some sort of tweet talking about him being a narcissist, claiming that he inflicted financial abuse on her. And I've heard, I don't know the situation. I've heard so many different sides of the story, but what is interesting to me is that David seems to want her blacklisted in society, in high society in Nigeria. He seems to be upset that Tiwa Savage is hanging out with this girl, because of Tiwa Savage fame and clout and the attention she gets and all that stuff. So he seems to want to control that and silence Sophia Mahmood. It's almost as though, and just because, and we don't know what really went down between Tiwa Savage and Davido, if Tiwa is even telling us the full story, maybe there's some other reason, but from what Tiwa is giving us, it just seems as though David is abusing power and trying to silence this, former baby mama of his. And the thing is that this is such a familiar thing in Nigeria because even though, typically it happens to divorced women. I know Sophia never married Davido, But it typically happens to divorced women when a woman divorces a prominent man. This man tends to or whoever is prominent that gets divorced, the one that is less prominent gets to sort of cancel the other person in high society and blacklist them in high society. And it's typically in Nigeria, it's the man that is the one. Like 9 times out of 10 in Nigeria, it's going to be the man. Once a woman divorces a man, even if she's the one that comes from a prominent family or has made a name for herself, if he then makes a name for himself, Nigerians always skew towards supporting men first before women. And so therefore, there's sort of this sort of like misogynoir that goes on with men where they feel like, especially when they have this like God complex, they feel like they can cancel and silence anybody. And I don't know the whole situation with Davido and his baby mama, but from the optics, that is what this is looking like. It's looking like, well, I want you silenced. I don't want anyone to pay attention to you. So I'm going to make sure the whole industry blacklists you. Everybody of any sort of prominent, prominence should blacklist you. It's giving narcissist. It's giving narcissist. So this is what it seems like, and this idea that Tiwa Savage is, which is actually completely normal for like women to, women that maybe have been through divorce. I think Tiwa Savage has been through divorce. Women that have been through divorce, women who have been through, separations and stuff like that, they tend to flock together and, talk together. And so who would understand her situation better than Tiwa Savage, who's also in the entertainment industry? So if they're friends, why is that an issue that they're friends? If Tiwa Savage wants to post her to her millions of followers, why is it an issue? This idea that because you're famous, you should be able to cancel and silence everybody. Social media has changed that landscape. Now everybody can tell their side of the story. And Tiwa Savage seems to be giving Sophia Mahmood the opportunity, even though Sophia Mahmood has like 200k followers. But Tiwa Savage is not letting her be canceled. She's hanging out with her. She's legitimizing her. And I feel like Davido might feel like that affects his brand. But the funny thing is that sending threats to a woman, that's going to mess up your brand. So maybe he didn't plan this out strategically, because sending threats to a whole person like Tiwa Savage, that's what is dumb. That's what's going to actually ruin your career. And so let's talk about this, right? So this idea, this God complex of Davido, then now saying, okay, sending threats to Tiwa Savage. What Davido doesn't understand is that anybody that he can call, Tiwa Savage can call. Who can you call? Like anybody that you think that you're more powerful than her, so you think you can make these threats, Tiwa can call. She can even call the King of England. Do you even have the King of England's does he know who you are? Does he even know who you are? He probably does. But he knows Tiwa Savage. She's respected in that crowd, in that circle. Even though I made a whole video on my other channel dissing her for being a part of that white supremacy thing, at the end of the day, white men run the world. And Tiwa Savage is in their good books. Tiwa Savage is acknowledged by them. So if you think that you're going to touch her, think again. And that's one thing about the God complex in African men. It's interesting because they don't have power outside of Africa. And that's just the reality of the situation. African men don't have power out of Africa. The way that, this is not my channel where I break down white supremacy and all that stuff, but it was not designed for the way white supremacy works. All the African leaders, when they come to the West, they bow down to their masters, because that's really the way it was designed. Through white supremacy. Obviously we want to change that. But it hasn't changed yet. When African leaders came to the Queen's funeral, they came in buses. They crammed them up in buses like I don't know, like, I don't even want to be disrespectful, but they crammed them up in buses. But when Western leaders came, they rolled out the red carpets, brought them in these like bulletproof cars individually, let them each go individually, not as a herd or a crowd being squashed in a bus like refugees. So my point is, this God complex that African men have in Africa does not transfer when they leave Africa. That's just the way, and that's, I don't even want to get into why this God complex exists. But so my point is that Davido needs to humble himself, because he does not have anything that Tiwa Savage doesn't have in terms of power. In fact, you could even argue that Tiwa Savage may very well be more powerful than him. Being a woman in her position, men would run to her favor before they run to his, globally. As much as Davido is a superstar. So because of that, sometimes you let your ego get to you because you think you're a bigger star than her in Nigeria, and you're a man. And typically, like I said, people are going to support men before they support women. So that might be why he thought he could just start threatening her like that. But he, like, bro, do you know who you're dealing with? Like, relax. Like, chill, bro, chill. Right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that Davido doesn't realize, the way that Tiwa Savage can destroy him, is cancel culture. Now, in Africa, a man might get away with being abusive to a woman in society and they'll forgive him. That might happen. That's not going to happen on a global stage. And Davido is a global artist. If Tiwa Savage wants, if you touch her, if you do anything to her, if Tiwa Savage wants, she can have you canceled internationally. Now, we have Davido, who is nominated for 3 Grammys next month. 3 Grammys he's nominated for. Not 1, not 2, but 3. Now, let's not pretend like Davido is not competing with Burna Boy. And also let's understand that the reason that Davido has the revenue, is generating the revenue that he generates in his music, is not because of the purchasing power of his African fans. It is because of the purchasing power that has been created due to his US success. Like, let me break that down, because I had this debate with somebody else on my channel about something. Yes, Davido is the biggest, probably one of the biggest acts in Africa to Africans. People are celebrating him, etc. They are, people enjoy Davido in Africa. But how many Africans have the purchasing power of a US audience? Not a lot. And so a lot of these Afrobeats acts had to tap into the diaspora to be able to become financially wealthy. And in addition to that, entering the US market doesn't only showcase you to the diaspora, because that's how they enter, through the diaspora. They now have spread to not just the whole of the US. White people, everybody knows Afrobeats. But now the rest of the world, because the world pays attention to the US music scene. The US music scene is still the pinnacle of entertainment, the entertainment industry. So by them being successful in America has led to them being successful internationally. That's why Burna Boy is getting offered $5 million to perform in Dubai. Now, I know Davido claimed that his rate was about $900,000 a show. And let's understand that, and maybe in Dubai, they probably pay him more, because they pay everybody more in Dubai. But let's understand that that price point did not happen in Africa. That price point happened when you became an international act. And why I say all of this is because Hollywood can cancel you. If you threaten and you abuse a woman, look at Jonathan Majors. Is that the direction you want to go in? That's number one. Number two, the Grammys are coming. The Grammys are coming. You're about to win a Grammy. If this gets out, and I'm here in America, if this gets out to the wrong people, if this information spreads out to the wrong people, you can easily be removed from those Grammy wins. Hollywood is a very corrupt place. Most of these award shows are rigged. And I have firsthand information on that. I mean, I used to live in Hollywood many times in my life. I've lived in LA 3 times in my life. Last I lived there was from 2014 plus, or 2014, yeah, for 3 years, right? And so when it comes down to it, Hollywood is a corrupt place, and these award shows are rigged. Now, if there's buzz about you being abusive and you making threats to the superstar that performed at the King's the King's coronation, guess who's going to get canceled? And don't pretend like, oh, I don't need America, oh, blah, 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 when you know that you're trying to compete for the #1 spot with Burna Boy. But Burna Boy is still a bigger act globally than Davido. Davido is bigger in Africa. Burna Boy is the biggest act outside of Africa. Hands down. Full stop. Davido is doing well, and 3 nominations, if he actually wins, people are looking at him. So why would he blow his opportunity by making threats? By thinking you're more powerful than you are? Because at the end of the day, when you look at Burna Boy, not only does he have that discipline that got him to where he is, right? And not only has his artistry really evolved to get to him to where he is, but he understands the refinement that is required to be standing in the position that he's standing in. Now, unfortunately for Davido, he has surrounded himself with, he's a boy's boy. It's obvious that he's a boy's boy. He hangs out with people like Chris Brown, who is not liked. You know, you're already hanging out with Chris Brown. You in your backstage area, we hear that, you know, you have all these thugs and all these sorts of people. When you look at the refinement around Burna Boy's backstage area, he doesn't even let anybody in his backstage area. He's an artiste. But Davido is, I'm not even saying that, it's a different style of artist, different personality, but you want to be on that stage with Burna Boy, you're going to have to act the part. And sending women threats, and this is me giving him the benefit of the doubt, saying that we don't know that. Maybe sometimes people talk, doesn't mean that they're abusive people, you know? So maybe we don't know that he was saying this, first of all, but let's say he was just making empty threats. It's still reckless behavior. And he's very, very silly for doing it. And getting exposed this way. Because if Hollywood cancels him, that's it. Look at Jonathan Majors. His whole career is over. Just like that. Poof. By one white woman. You know? So, that's just what I have to say about Davido. Very, very silly comments, if it is true. And then, I guess, like, the only thing I'll say with Tiwa Savage that I thought was weird that she said was when she mentioned his son. That was a weird comment. What did she say? Yeah, that I was the first person in the hospital when your son passed. Why would you bring that up? That's wild. Why would you bring that up? It's almost like, it seems a little bit disingenuous to me. I can see how somebody can get triggered when you bringing up his son, because, like, that's a very sensitive topic. Especially she has a child. I'm sure she, like, you know, it's a very sensitive topic to, like, if you're going to support somebody, support them. Don't support them to rub it in their face later. Because what does your support really mean against the loss of a child? You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter what you did for him. It really doesn't matter how you showed up for him when his son died, because he's never going to get his son back. So bringing that up as a way to showcase that you supported him is just kind of like, you're making him think about his son, which is probably the worst pain anybody can ever experience. You're making him think about that. And then you're rubbing it in his face. I don't like it. I don't like that she said that, but and I don't even understand the logic in saying that. It just seems that why were you there in the first place? Then were you there just for clout? Were you there because if you were there for a genuine reason, you would understand that it's inappropriate to even bring that up. That's just my take on that. But either way, my question remains: is Davido going to get canceled from his Grammy for this reckless behavior that he's allegedly been, committing? And what does that say for African men that are entering the global stratosphere? How can we learn to humble ourselves? You might be a god in a small pond, and not to call Africa a small pond, but in terms of the way it is right now, in terms of global power, obviously we want to change this, but where Africa is now, in terms of the global landscape and global power structure, it's a small pond. So just because you're a big fish in a small pond, doesn't mean that you should think that you could get away with being abusive, because now we're in a global world and we all hear about all this information, and even the big fish in the small pond, because of social media, can get killed in that small pond, can get slaughtered in that small pond. It happened to Debange when, allegedly, no, not allegedly, when the woman accused him of sexual assault, and then he had her arrested. And then social media went crazy on him. Nigerian social media went crazy on him. Insulted, like he was canceled for like 2 years. Now I think he's recovered now. Luckily for Davido, people like him because he's hot right now. The Debange time has passed. Davido is hot right now. People really like him. So people will make excuses for him and support him. But either way, that does not mean that people should get away with abusing power. That's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. You're watching Brand Video Pro. I'm your host, Kenim O. Guys, check out the Content Mastery Academy, my new exclusive group for people that want to learn how to master content creation, making exceptionally good content online that helps you go viral. Guys, you heard about my 5 million view video, viral video. Yeah, we're getting views. Anyway, like, follow, subscribe. See you in the next one. A peace.